Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Sahaj Tales podcast. Here's my guest, and it is Rashmi Kotriwala. How are you, Rashmi?
Very well. Thank you for having me, Sahaj. How are you?
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and I'm fine. Thank you so much. Um, so yes, how are you doing? How is everything going?
All good, all good. Only good. When you're too busy creating things, you don't have, everything feels right.
Yeah, it's true. That's I would say, and it is a good thing also. And you know, I've always thought that when you create things well and when you make an effort to sort of build things, that's when your creativity shines as a person. You know, so
Absolutely.
absolutely, it's true. So what's happening? You could tell me about your journey. How is it? How do you start? Like, where did it all start for you?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually. And there is a lot of stories around it. So I'll start from the very beginning. I think, about 10 years old, and we were part of this, club. I'm from Kolkata.
Okay.
And back in the day, that was probably 1980, uh, 80, 82 that I'm talking about. Um, and we didn't have like so much opportunity to do things. Even in school, we somehow didn't have that kind of, open platforms where you could perform very easily. So we were part of this club, the family was, and there was some annual children's play that they were doing. I
Yeah.
wanted to go for it. I don't know why I had this urge to participate. I got somebody to write a letter to say, a submission form, and which was lying around on near the telephone, and my grandfather saw it. And he was most upset about it that, in our houses, girls don't go up on stage and do these things. So I come from a very conservative Marwadi family.
Okay.
In back in the day, we wouldn't be really allowed to go dance or do things on stage. So he got really upset and he said, "No way, you're not going anywhere." And that was the end of, the first chapter.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of months. Sorry,
Okay. Okay.
you're
Yeah.
saying.
No, continue.
After a couple
You're
of
saying.
months or something, my classmate, who was apparently playing the lead in that particular play that I was applying for, she approached me and she said, "Rashmi, I know you are fond of, acting and things like that. There is, the person who was playing my father has broken his arm. Do you want to, act as my father?" I said, "Yes,
Yeah.
I want." So that's how, actually, and then I had to actually convince my grandmother, and she kind of managed my grandfather, and that's how my first role happened in a full length play at 10 years of age. So I played a male, my friend's father's role. Jasma Oden was the play.
Okay, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Um, okay, before we obviously talk about, what we expected to talk about, we decided on it. I would first ask you, how you think, the world has changed for women over the years in general, like, and because you said that you've come from a conservative sort of background and things were different. It was restrictive. It was a bit like don't make too much noise, don't do this, don't do that, a sort of controlling environment. But so how do you think things have changed over the years for
Oh, massively, massively. So I come from a generation where we had one telephone in the house of, where we were living in a joint family of 20 plus people in the same house, and we had one phone, okay, one
Yeah.
dial phone,
Yeah.
which would everybody had to take turns. We were not allowed to speak to our friends for more than 2 minutes, and that also was like, only very need based. We couldn't call, intercity calls. We weren't allowed to go to parties. We weren't allowed to do sleepovers. There was a, designated car and driver who would come and pick you up and drop you from, even in college days, to now where my children have individual phones, they have individual laptops. There was no internet back then. We had only one
Yeah.
television channel, one television channel which would have all programs, and you used to wait for a certain specific day for your favorite program to come. So now, there is so much of availability, easy availability of
Content.
content, of convenience, of access to friends, family, is just very, very different, very different.
Yeah. Hmm. It's true. No, I agree with you. Like it has obviously the dynamics of the world have shifted so much, and you know back then what was trendy or what was new at the time, and you know obviously now things are different. Let's say a 20-year-old from 1990 versus a 20-year-old from the year 2023. Things are very different, and I can't even believe that like when you say, let's say my parents were like about 26 or something in 1990, and when you think about it, and it was not that long ago, and now when you think of it, you feel like as if there's a huge gap between generations and all that. But it's actually fascinating to see how people have grown, and like how certain mentalities of people or their thoughts, they have changed a lot and have just turned into something which is like, it's just different. What the kind of things people like, kind of things people dislike. Now what people like and dislike, it's completely different. And you know, we sometimes say like as younger people, okay, now people of our generation at the moment, we sometimes say we can't quite relate to our parents, but you've got to understand that our parents were young as well at one point in time, younger as well at one point in time, and they had different aspirations and ambitions of their own. Yeah. So
Correct.
like, it's a different thing altogether.
The thing is, the
So
likes, dislikes, mentalities that you're talking about, which has changed over the years, has a lot to do with the world opening up to humans, right?
yeah,
When say your parents are probably my age or generation, when we were younger, our world was just that, the school, the college that you went to, the three or four friends, and the 20 people that you interacted with on a daily basis in the family, and relatives in the same city. um, we didn't
yeah,
have, as I said, our world of knowledge was only through newspaper and books. you know Internet has changed. Internet and travel,
yeah,
these two things have really changed the world, the aspirations, as you said, the mentalities. We are now, as humans, I mean, the person that I was, say, 20 years ago, and the 20-year-old child in my house or individual that I see in my house is also very, very um, intellectually superior to what I was at 20 years of age.
yeah, yeah. It's true. No, it's correct, and it's very different. And like you said, I mean, how people are at certain points of time in different generations, it's just different. Anyway, moving on. You talked about your first role in theater, playing the a dad of you know a child at the age of 10. How was that? Like, how was that experience altogether? Like, what was that like?
Oh, it was brilliant. I think it was one of the turning points in my life, because I somewhere, since it was my first ever play, I had never acted before that. Not in a proper play, like I'd done small, the fancy dress kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
that was like a full length play. And
yeah.
I was playing someone which I was completely not me, right? The father, age wise, it was different. Um, Gender wise, it was different, etc.
We lost you, I think.
Oh, sorry. So I'm saying, can you hear me now?
If you could like elaborate once again, just let me know. Because if you could elaborate once again, yes. I now can
Yes,
now
yes,
I've
sure.
found got you back. If you could
All
elaborate
right.
once again, you're
I'm
saying about
Yes.
it is not like a fancy.
So I was saying that
It
I
was
was playing a father's role for the first time. That was my first role
yeah,
ever. I had not acted before that, really. At
yeah,
10
yeah,
years of age, anyways, what do you understand of acting, right?
yeah. I mean, you do. I mean, like it's the baby steps, yeah, which matters. It's like which really happens when you're young. You don't quite understand everything that happens around you, but you also absorb everything like a sponge because
Yes.
that's when you think that when you're like really young, like 7 years old or 8 years old, even when you like are sitting in class while studying something, you just absorb everything like a sponge, especially if you're really smart, you know. And as a result of that, you get good grades and all that stuff. And it also seeps into other areas of life. I feel like
Right.
extracurricular activities. It could be anything. It could be sports. It could be dance, drama, music. It could be art. It could be absolutely anything. Uh, it's just way of life. I mean, what
Right.
happens is
So
that
that's
when people
exactly,
get older, I feel some people are set in their ways. Yeah, some people are set in their ways. Some people are not set in their ways, and they continue to learn. I I personally feel like a growth mindset is necessary to help you prosper in life. What do you think about that?
absolutely. Otherwise, you would be stuck in the same zone and same mental space. Unless you are committed to growth, there's nothing new you're going to try.
Yeah,
And nothing great comes out of comfort zones, right? So
yeah.
that's has always been my motto. And well, for 5 decades, I've lived by it. And I think it has served me well.
Okay. No, it's true. When you learn and grow and you push yourself towards becoming the best person best version of yourself you can possibly be, it really helps out a lot. Now, obviously, now that we have talked about your experiences in your first ever role by acting, so where did you start acting? You started acting in Kolkata.
Yes.
Okay. And did you like study anything in Kolkata related to theater, or was it self taught for you?
No, self-taught. I studied by watching seniors. We would be a mixed group of people, so there were a lot of senior, actors, all ages actually. So you learned from each one because each of them came from different sort of backgrounds and learning experiences. My director would, of course, was very helpful in teaching me a lot of things and by observing. As you said, like a
Okay.
sponge. So at that age, if you're doing theater every year or every, once you get into that, you just kind of, the appreciation and the validation kind of becomes a motivating factor, and you're all excited to learn as much as you can.
Okay, that's true. That's really good. I mean, see, being self-taught, in my opinion, um, it's not always easy because especially when you're facing someone who has been educated in the world of theater, you can it can create some sort of you know insecurity, but also it's an asset because it helps you learn more from people who know better from than you. So it really helps out a lot.
Right. So
uh
that's what
Talking
happened.
about
I mean,
that,
with me, sorry,
yeah,
sorry, go
continue.
ahead.
No, you're saying something.
No, I'm saying, so in each phase of my theater journey, I have learned from different people. I learned, well, acting when I was doing acting. When I came to Dubai, that was in 2005. Um, I learned acting also at that time, but after a gap of few years, 2010, 11, I think I got pushed into a lot of production work. So, which I'd never done before. But I thought, again, if it was only acting that I wanted to do, I would have sat back and not taken a chance to learn other things. I pushed myself, and just the joy of being around the stage was enough motivation for me to just, throw myself into whatever came my way. So I've done backstage work, I did production work, I did costumes, I did props for so many plays. I was an assistant director to a 20-year-old director for a big play uh, at the age of 40. um, it if you're ready to learn, you can learn from anywhere, and you have to learn all aspects of theater to be able to really understand what goes into it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's it's just many experiences which help you grow and learn about theater in general. And now your journey to Dubai. So what brought you here to Dubai?
My husband's job.
No, I mean not in that sense. I mean like in terms of getting into theater and all that. What brought you
Oh,
into
that.
theater?
Okay. What got me? Just the passion of theater. There had been a gap of a few years, and I wasn't working at that time. Wanted to look out for opportunities to satisfy the creative soul in me, um, and somehow I got connected to um, some theater groups. That was back in 2010 or 11. And that's how it happened, really. And then I never kind of stopped. Like it was on off, like more less, but it just continued.
Yeah. Okay. So where exactly did you start theater in Dubai? I mean, because uh, back, let's say about 12 to 13 years back, all these places which were present earlier were not there before. So how did you really start off as theater in Dubai?
No, I started off first as an audience. I watched a couple of plays. There were only one or two community groups at that time. Um, and yeah, I mean, Backstage was the group which I got associated with. Um, got, I got involved. They were doing quite a few plays at that time. We were doing plays in Duck which is now
Okay,
called the theater. Yeah, and that's how
of
I
course.
got connected.
How old is? Yeah,
Sorry?
yeah, sure. No, what I was going to ask you is how old is Duck Duck? I mean, how old was Duck Duck? Because is it just gone now? Because wasn't it like gone?
No, it's not gone. They are they shut down for a bit, couple of years, and now they're running. It's not called Ductac anymore. It is the facility is still there. It is run by someone called Art for All, and they run it as the theater.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, but so backstage, which is if I'm not wrong, it's now H72, right, at the moment?
Yes.
Or yes. So how old is this? Like, how old is this theater company? Or like,
Oh, I think it was about a year old when I joined. That was in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. So possibly 2010. I was not the founding member, so I'm not sure how old it is. Must be 2009 or 10.
okay, okay, that's really interesting. I mean, I'd not okay because when I was in university, I remember the reason why could recall backstage, the word backstage, was because in 2014 when I started off theater, like, and when I was in university at the time, at that time it was called backstage,
Right.
and then we went to
Okay.
H72.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like there was a couple of years later, I think 2016 they changed to H72 or something. Now
Yes,
it's
2016, because it became the in-house theater group at the Junction, the venue that I was co-founder of.
so yeah. I mean, please tell me more about your journey about being a professional in the entertainment industry. What is it like? What has it been like for you? What has your you know story been?
It's been really interesting. So the reason why I told you I got into production, and I'd done enough of production work. I'd done enough of costumes and props, and by 2012, 13, I started to feel the urge that okay, there aren't enough acting roles for my age. Um, and there is no Hindi theater, which I was more passionate about. I thought that was a good idea to try my hand at directing. And as luck would have it, Short and Sweet was happening for the first time in 2013 at Duck.
Okay.
Um, I was told that, okay, this is a great place to try out your, directing skills. And I said, okay, no harm,
Yeah.
let's try. We were given like a set of scripts to choose from. I picked up one script, and uh, I had to cast for it. It was very difficult because obviously a new director, nobody, and for the first time when something like, a festival like that is happening, you don't know anything about the festival, you don't know anything about the producer, you don't know the new director who is claiming to experiment with something. Um, so actors were difficult to cast. However, I managed to cast two people, and I was my play Perfect Stillness was put in the wild cards. I didn't
Oh,
expect
you did perfect
anything.
Stillness as well.
Yes,
Wow, you did perfect Stillness as
and
well.
then yes. Oh, you did just now
Yeah, just now.
with
Yeah.
Alex. Oh wow,
Yes.
brilliant! And you were
Yeah. Yes. So,
the sorry.
yeah. You continue what you're saying.
So, yeah, and that play went. I mean, we got an almost a standing ovation in the wild cards. We got on to the finals. In those days, there weren't any semi-finals, so luckily we went straight to the finals and pitched against the best of the best plays at that time. But Perfect Stillness
Hmm.
won the festival. It was the People's Choice winner. It was the Judges' Choice winner. Both my actors got Best Actor and Best Actor runner-up awards in the festival. Um, so it really boosted my confidence, and it wasn't like a close finish, which usually is the case these days. It was way better in the marks and points that we had got. So that's how really the switch from actor to director happened.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
I directed quite a few plays. Um, 2014 mid, I decided that I should um, start investing in some business related to this, and that's how actually Junction also happened. um, and yeah, it was a great journey of 7 years. I pioneered quite a few projects at the Junction, and even there was, how it is when you're setting up something, there is like maximum amount of work that goes on in the first couple of years. Um, so yeah, that's how it was.
Okay, so from 2013, how do you think this the journey of, like, the theater industry, the entertainment industry in the UAE has been like till 2023? How do you think that has progressed so far?
Oh, it's grown massively. It's grown exponentially. And I'm very proud of the fact that there are so many people involved in theater now. Somewhere I do feel a small, tiny part of that journey of even the Dubai theater. Um, and considering that when I started doing theater here, there were hardly, as I said initially, there were two or three drama groups. Um, and
Yeah,
now there are so many. S- every week we have plays that are being produced in the city, and now not even in one venue, there are plays being produced parallelly in several venues, so which is
yeah,
like a huge growth, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's
It's true.
by no means a small feat.
Yeah, no, it's that's absolutely right. I mean, like, I remember because when I started off, it was there, it was happening, but it just wasn't really what you call a thing in the
Yeah.
UAE. And now it's just grown exponentially. Like you said, every week there are plays everywhere, like, you know, in different venues. And
Having
yeah,
said that, we are still, way off, still a long way off from a lot of professional theater, and it's happening, no doubt. But
yeah,
we are still, there's a long journey to cross if we were to compare ourselves to, at least by way of volume, to compare ourselves to something like UK theater scene or even India theater scene. It's we are still long way off
okay. Talking about that, why do you say that? Really?
because of the sheer volume. There is only a limited set of people who are actually interested in theater in Dubai. Now, the main reason for that is that in Dubai, the population keeps shifting.
Yeah.
As in, there is how many people can you actually count who have been doing theater for the last, say, 20 years in Dubai?
I know one person who has been doing that, but
Exactly. So you're talking of just one or two people, right?
yeah.
In a place like Calcutta or in a place like Delhi or Bombay, there are people who've been doing theater for 50 years.
Hmm.
The same person has been doing theater consistently, creating, not just directing, he's writing now, he's producing, he's so there is a consistent force of consistent group of people who are constantly creating
Yeah.
in the same field. So that little bit of a thing is there, and I really don't see how that is going to change unless the government or the whole situation allows the population, expat population, to stay here for a very long time. It's happening now with the golden visa and all, it is happening, things are changing. So I feel like people will invest their time and money into such cultural activities only if they have a very, very long term window.
Yeah. It's like, see, and you know, talking about that, also not just that. In fact, I feel, uh, what kind of people have you met in in the industry, and how have they contributed to the long term development of the entertainment industry in Dubai?
Oh, I met, I think, all kinds of people, and it's been a very interesting mix, I would say.
Hmm.
There have been extremely selfless people. There have been people who have invested their time, effort, and creativity into creating a lot of things, even building things. Um, in training people, in training and getting the teams up to the level of professional quality theater that we are doing. There have been other kinds of people as well who who have been there with different set of goals. Um, but whatever, it has been a beautiful mix, and I think I have personally grown and learned a lot from each of them, huge amounts. And I'm very, very grateful and thankful to each one of them having crossed my path and either directed me or have acted under my direction, or have been part of my teams in any some way or the other. And I have great relations with most of them, and it's really wonderful. I consider them as very good friends, and I
Yeah.
look forward to working with them more.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. Now, also, I want to get to one specific thing about what you mentioned in your little blue box enact. How
Ah,
did that?
yeah. So in 2019, end of the year, I think, or 2020 beginning sometime, I decided that I should start teaching theater. I was confident enough at that point in time that, okay, because I have been a self-taught um, director and actor, it took me that many years to really believe in myself that I can now teach drama.
Okay.
So it started with that thought. Also, I was at a change phase. I was parting ways with the previous business, and I thought it would be a good time to do things on my own, at my own pace, and at my own flexible timing.
Hmm.
And that's how an act happened. It has been a slow thing, because as soon as that happened, COVID hit. So almost 2 years there was nothing much happening there. But as you adapt to different environments, I also adapted to it, and I taught lots of children and adults on Zoom for that entire period.
Hmm.
Um, we did plays on Zoom. I think we were the first uh, first play uh, on Zoom to happen. If I'm not mistaken, probably the first in the world.
Hmm. That's interesting. I mean, it's it's unique in its own way. I remember on Amazon Prime there was a film based on the lockdown of how people were getting through lockdown, and it was a huge hit. I can't quite remember the name of the film.
Okay.
Uh, I think it's by Anurag Kashyap.
Acha. Let me know. I can't remember it. I'm sure I've seen it probably. I can't remember.
I think it's called Unpause or something. I
Unpaused.
can't,
Yes.
you know.
Very nice short stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the film. I think that's the stories. I mean, based on, and it's a film, and they made it based on what happened during the lockdown
Yeah.
and how people dealt with it. And like I've not watched it personally, but I heard it's a pretty good film, so I'll watch it. You know, soon.
Do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, when you say confidence in teaching people, where does the confidence come from? How do you build it? How do people build it? Because I feel that acting, directing, and teaching are three different things altogether, and they kind of require different sort of skill sets in
Yes, you're right.
making
Absolutely
that
right.
happen.
The reason, see, I'm a trained teacher anyways. So teaching per se comes easy to me.
Okay.
Now, because I had directed, so many plays by then,
Hmm.
and I had acted and done production work also. I'd done all kinds of spheres. I'd covered everything in within theater. I started writing as well. I
Yeah.
started to get the feeling that okay, at least in Dubai, there are only handful of people who can possibly impart that knowledge. At least my experiences I can teach. I know how
Yeah,
to direct, and I can get. Uh, and to be fair, my children have done exceedingly well in Trinity College of London examinations. Almost always they have got distinctions. Um, so I'm pretty, then once you start and then you get good results, you automatically keep growing in confidence. And I'm one
yeah,
person who, as I said, I like to keep growing. So I do workshops myself to learn more from different sets of people. There's no end to learning. You can keep learning.
yeah, yeah. That's absolutely correct, and I completely agree with that. I talking about also that about that. In fact, since you have said, okay, you've been teaching, you've been directing, you have also acted a long time back, and even now you've been acting. But now I would like get to the final question, um, or one of the final questions of this podcast. Uh, why is the UAE somewhat still an emerging market in terms of entertainment? Like,
Hmm. Not in entertainment. Look, in the context of very big celebrity shows, it's not really emerging market. It is already there. I think it is considered to be a great place for people to perform, especially from, it's a good mix of uh, people audience. You get the Western world audience, you get the Indian world audience, you get all kinds of um,
yeah,
expatriate population and all kinds of people here to sort of have professional performers come from various countries and do their show here.
mhm,
It is an emerging market only for the local community performers.
okay,
Now, the thing is that there is limited support from the corporates, limited support from the government. There is moving population who will not spend their savings like I did. I spent my savings, I invested in to build a space.
mhm,
Okay. But the moment my home base or my source of income shifts, say my husband's job or my job which is funding that business moves from any stable position, I will be forced to move. I will be forced to get out of that business or investment or whatever. So people are hesitant to invest in long term projects there or build things because we are not here forever.
yeah,
And then the local community is still not very aware and involved, unfortunately, with theater and performing arts for whatever reason. I don't know the exact reason, but they are not involved. It is the NRI, the expat population, which is driving theater and the direction of theater here. All expat population, but locals you find very, very, very few.
yeah, yeah. Uh, hold on a minute.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. No, yeah, it's true. Okay, and there's one phrase about Dubai, I mean, in general, which was like very, it was a very cliche sort of phrase. If you build it, they'll come. Okay, and do you feel like this sort of feeling is there within the expat community when it comes to like creating theater and just like getting the entertainment industry forward?
No, to some extent, yes. But look, if there is huge, as I said, we are all working people, right? We don't have corporate backing where or sponsorship even. In India, even the smallest of things get enough sponsorship and support. But when you don't have, everything requires money,
Yeah,
financial, support is extremely important. Also, some kind of government support where the cost of doing a play is really equal to doing, say, the cost, not in terms of the venue and all that, but at least the government costs are the same, uh, as compared to, say, when Russell Peters comes, or Shakira's concert happens. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
community theater needs to be a separate kind of uh, industry, or community performances need to be separated from the commercial performances,
Okay.
because you don't it's these are targeted towards smaller number of audience members, so it needs to be treated as such.
Hmm. It's true. Uh, yeah. So, okay. Have you ever now? This is a very important question which I wanted to ask you. I mean, and yeah, that's what I would like to ask you. Have you ever ventured into film, like acting or
So
directing in
I've
film?
done hmm ventured, I would say I've had experience of doing one film while I was in college, that was done by written and directed by a student of Satyajit Ray Institute of Films.
Okay.
And that was a very poignant kind of story. I worked with someone, a fairly well-known actress of the time. Awfully, I have done sporadic, like one or two. I really can't call that foraying into films as such. I don't understand that medium too much, so and haven't had too many opportunities. I have written scripts for um, commercials, uh, but yeah, that's about it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay. Now I'll ask you the last question about of the day of the show. Uh, what was your best experience and what was your worst experience working in theater?
Hmm. Best experience, I think, was actually directing Perfect Stillness and winning the festival. That by far stands out. Somewhere in my journey, somehow that stands out, because that was a big turning point again. Um,
Hmm.
then there have been many, actually. There have been the fact that, I was the first producer to bring Amit Tandon to Dubai, did
Hmm.
for all his first few shows, um, and not just his, then followed by quite a few of the comedians. That
Okay.
is also something exciting that I remember. So there have been these, high points at different times. Standing ovation for an act last year, when we got uh, when we did a collection of four stories of
Hmm.
master storytellers from the world.
Yeah.
So high points, there have been many. Friendships, there have been many really dear friendships. Um, Low points also, there have been many. But I don't think that that's any, you don't want to discuss that. You just learn from it and move on.
Yeah. Okay. I guess it's. I know sometimes you don't want to open up about low points and everything. Maybe because it's like I think it could be difficult to talk about or traumatic or I don't know how I would phrase it, but
It's not traumatic anymore, Sahaj. It's not that. See, as I said, I'm at an age where I can deal with those things. I'm no longer a 20-year-old who will sit crying over spilt milk and, take those things to heart. And I believe, as I said, that's me. I'm a very positive kind of person. I like to move on. I
yeah,
am a creative person. I believe that creativity is near godliness.
yeah,
I like to grow from there. I've just published my poetry book, my first poetry book in December, and I'm very excited about that.
that's really
I
nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So those are the things which excite me. And I am the kind of person who likes to live in my excitement zone rather than rather than sitting with something. Of course, low points happen, and it happens. Yeah, it is part of life, and you
Yeah,
move on. You don't sit with
yeah,
them.
it's true. It's true. It's true. That's absolutely right. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and I really appreciate having this chat with you. It was really nice to talk to you about your
Thank you so
experiences.
much.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Sahaj, for inviting me. It was really wonderful, and I'm so glad I got to talk after such a long time. Yeah, I mean, someone asked me my story. I just feel very happy to share that, because somewhere I feel sharing these stories inspires people, motivates people to do what they really feel like and get out of their comfort zones. Because, as I said, nothing
Yes.
comes out of sitting there.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Here's me signing off for today, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Thank you.